Good morning, beautiful people. It is Sarah Willoughby from sarahwilloughby.com. This morning, I have a beautiful guest with me. Hello, Nikki Burnett. How are you?
Hello, I'm amazing. How are you?
I am so well, thank you. I am very excited to dive into all the beautiful things that you are doing in the world. And I'd love for you to start by just sharing who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so kind of doing a lot of things, but so I'm a functional nutritionist. What that means is I am, my goal is to understand people's lifestyle, right? Their lifestyle, their food, their movement, all of these things that are so important to who we are every day and how we present every day. But for those who are struggling with symptoms or for those who have specific health goals, my goal is to understand the root cause of whatever is going on. So if they're having symptoms, so a lot of people are struggling with GI stuff, right? A lot of people are struggling with autoimmune conditions. What can we do to understand the root cause of those things and allow the body uh, to to operate better, to function better, so we can start to move past those symptoms. And really quick, one of the things, not everybody has symptoms. Some people have other health goals. And so, where you and I connected is working with people who are planning for pregnancy. And so when I say that, people are often thinking, oh yeah, well, when I'm pregnant, how can you help me? But it's not that. It's prior to that point. Let's prepare your body, whether you're struggling with symptoms or you just want to optimize for men and for women, to prepare, so there's hopefully not the struggle for conception, right? I mean, we can't mitigate all issues, but we start to decrease the problems with conception. We decrease problems during pregnancy and delivery, and so the healthier we are, the healthier our pregnancy and all, and our kids going to be, and the healthier our grandkids are going to be and our great grandkids are going to be. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. I'm really excited to dive into what you just said about the sort of future generations. But
Yeah.
before we talk about that, I know that you had your own sort of personal health challenge. Is that part of what moved you into this area of work, or was that completely separate? Were you already working in this space before then?
So it's funny because people ask me how I started doing what I'm doing, and I always say God, because so yes, of course, it's a part of my story, my own health challenges, but I wasn't in healthcare at the time, not in this space anyway. So I've always been a science nerd. I sold supplements for a while, so that sort of was that, started the trajectory toward natural health. But I moved into pharmaceuticals. I moved into selling surgical devices. So I was in the OR, and I sort of moved my way around the medical world a bit, but all this time just studying my tail off when it comes to, health and wellness and nutrition on the natural side of things. And so, what ended up happening was I was having these massive headaches. I had a headache for 2 years and
Oh,
didn't
wow.
know what was going on. It was insane. It's chronic pain, which is why I can empathize so much with, people who I work with on a daily basis and who are struggling. But it can change who you are. It changes your personality. It changes your interactions with people and with your relationships and with life itself. I mean, it is just kind of, it's hard, right? It's just really hard. And
Mm.
then the thing that I kept getting was, yes, I can help you. Yes, I can help you. Yes, I can help you. For 2 years, it was a yes, I can help you, but nobody could. So, I get that, frustration with with everybody knows the answer, but it's never the right answer for you. And so it's that has been, it's this interesting path that I didn't know that I was taking as I'm moving along my own, life journey, and then realized I need to do this for a living. This needs to be, what I do. I love it so much. I learned so much. I learned to be my own advocate. I went through allopathic care, conventional care. I went through holistic care. I did homeopathy. I mean, you name it. I did the therapy to try to figure out what was going on. And so it helped me to understand the world both of conventional medicine because I was in it, but also what does it look like to care for myself in a different way than what I'm told by conventional medicine? And that's starting to change, right? But that was essentially my journey to where we are. I decided, okay, I need to learn. I need to go back to school. So that's what I did.
I love that you've had that learned experience and that you're now able to fully understand the health journeys that others are on, because I think until you've walked that path, it's very challenging to understand, particularly with sort of autoimmune diseases, the pain that people live with, often not even necessarily visible to the outside world. And it does, as you said, it impacts people. And I think that's something that, as you were talking, the fertility journey really impacts people, but often it's that silence, it's that behind closed doors, it's that we don't talk about it, people don't know what you're going through, and you're expected to show up in the world smiling every day as if everything's wonderful, and no idea that you've just had a miscarriage, or you're going through IVF, or you're going through other fertility treatment, your hormones are crazy, and just, it's a really challenging journey.
It is. It really is. And I'm grateful for my own experiences too, because it helps me, but it's part of growth. It's part of what made me who I
Mm.
am. It's part of what brought me to where I am now. Nobody wants to experience these, kind of yucky circumstances, whatever the circumstance might be, but it is what helps us to, you know, be as big as we're supposed to be, right? We all have
Mm.
this I mean, in my mind anyway, we have this job. We have this reason we're here, and it's to give and to serve and to love. And the more that we learn, the more that we can teach, and the more that we can give and serve and love. And so yeah, I don't have, like you, I don't have the experience with the fertility stuff. I do have the other stuff, but there's still an understanding of the deep frustration when things aren't going the way that you want them to, or way that you think that they should, and nobody is able to help you. And so I come at it from a little bit of a different space. Maybe I don't want to say perspective, but a different space where it's more, I can empathize, but I've just not been there.
Mm.
But what I love, and I know we'll dig into this, is the creating this awareness, because I want to create more of this awareness that whatever it is, it does bring us to this better place, but we have the ability to create our own health to a large degree. And when I say that, we're talking about the epigenetic component of it, but that also means when we are doing this piece, and we're creating our health for today, which means we're creating our health for our pregnancy, we are creating the health of the future. And this is science based. It's backed by data that we have the ability to impact generations ahead of us. And it's, again, it goes back to this miraculous, miracle of life that we have the ability to create. And we also have the ability to create, in large part, the health of that life.
That is so exciting.
Mhm.
Epigenetics is something that I've only, in the last probably 5 years, started to understand. And what I love about it is, as you said, it's very empowering. It's realizing that we can not just change things for ourselves, but for the future generations, and those will never have the privilege to meet. But what a gift to be able to leave those future generations. And it is so, so needed.
Mhm.
So I'd love for you just to share a little bit more about I can't even say it, epigenetics, how you got into that. And I know that when you've talked about the generations, how many generations back can we actually sort of link, does science link the effects of sort of health and wellness and all of those things and just our DNA?
Yeah. So first I want to touch on one thing really quick that I love that you said, because I think a lot of people don't see it this way, but you said the word empowering, because it is. Epigenetics is so empowering. It creates a lot of accountability also, but it is, this is the gift of free will, right? Is what, to me, what epigenetics is, as a as a whole. And to answer your question, the data shows that 7 generations behind us is what impacts us today. And then our health today has the ability to impact 7 generations ahead. So it's hundreds of years.
That's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And my understanding was that that's what science is showing, but there's actually a belief that it's up to 21 generations, but we're still getting there in terms of being able to find that data to support that.
Yeah, and yesterday I was talking with someone and she said 3. So, I'm not the sscientist.
Mm,
So I don't even know how you figure that stuff out. I don't know. But my data, my information comes from the classes, the courses, the people who I follow, the conferences I go to. And there are, which I think is what happens with most people, not everybody's the scientist, but how do you, I don't know, how do you, for one, how do you even grasp on to something like this? Because it's really
mm,
just sort of otherworldly almost, it seems like. But yeah, how do you measure that? I don't know.
mm. I think it's exciting that science does give us that data and does show that,
Mhm.
because I think it's important for us to be healthily cynical about things. I love working in this
Mhm.
holistic health space, but my background is very academic. And
Mhm.
so I still have that logical mind, and I still like to question and reason, because all our journeys are very different. And you mentioned about us all needing to be our own advocate, or that you are your best advocate for your own health, and I think that's something that's really important. And that's why I love having conversations with people like yourself, because it brings different perspectives and it empowers us to be able to start to research things for ourselves that we didn't necessarily even know existed. Particularly,
Mhm.
epigenetics. It's something that some people have heard of, some people haven't. And for me, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, there's something here that I want to understand. If I do
Mhm.
nothing else this lifetime, if I can improve the health, the wellness, the mental wellness, everything for the future generations, then I think that is the biggest gift that I can leave, the biggest legacy even
Mhm.
that I can
Agreed.
leave. And imagine if every single person committed to that
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
world, of
Mhm.
understanding the sort of the imprint that they were leaving. That it isn't just a case of, okay, I've had my time, I've taken my last breath. It's still, there's still things to be understood and
Yeah.
discovered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. And I agree with you wholeheartedly when it comes to, you know, when I say it's science and it's backed by data, you know, we have to we can't just trust the science anymore. We can't just trust the data anymore. Just like you said, I think we have to question, and we have to not take things at face value anymore, which is too bad. There was a time when, the word science meant something, and I feel like it doesn't as much as it used to.
Mm,
But that's okay, because we can do our own digging, right? And we can find those people who want to do the digging. There are things that I want to dig into: epigenetics. I want to dig into, health and wellness, and the science and the labs and the numbers and all of that stuff. But I don't want to dig into my accounting. So, so I have someone help me dig into my accounting, because it's not my thing. So we have to have I fully believe we have to have our team, it's on a personal level, on a professional level, on a wellness level, who's there to support us, who we found, who we can trust, who is going to lead us in the right direction in those times when we need to be led, but also for those of us who, and we're all leaders in some capacity, but when we're leading others, to the best of our ability, know that what we are leading with is fact. Science changes. We know it changes, but we just, we can, our own we can get in our way sometimes, and we got to take that away and lead people with fact. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah, it absolutely does. And I'm with you that I'm not interested in the accounting side of life either. So I definitely need somebody to help me with that. And yeah, so yeah, absolutely. You make me laugh.
Oh, so hard.
Yeah. So I'd love to understand if people are sort of curious about this and it's the first time they've heard about this, where would be a good place for them to start? Are there any resources, any websites, any people to read up about just to get that sort of basic foundation?
hmm So where I kind of got my start was with Dr. Ben Lynch. Do you know him? You heard of
No.
him? So if you've heard of, which I'm going to say this because at this point a lot of people have heard of this gene, but the MTHFR gene, it's actually a SNP or a variant, it's got these different names. And so it's become a thing that people are afraid of when it's just a variant of the millions of variants that we all have, right? It's not like it's a big deal when we understand these specific variants. Sorry, I'm getting off topic just a little bit, but when we understand these variants and we know how to address them, that's really all it is with any variant. But he's the one who brought MTHFR to the forefront. He started, researching and studying it, and then has moved into he created his an epigenetic panel, lab test to understand. Then there are lots of those right now. You think of like 23andMe, which is very small in comparison to what we do in the functional lab testing world. I mean, the amount of information on out there around these SNPs is fascinating, and it's amazing, and it's really hard to understand. I'm certainly not an expert. I love it, but I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
But point to all of that is he's the one who brought it to the forefront as far as I know when I started following it. It's a fairly new science anyway, but it really is amazing. We believe that we did believe that we know our genes, we know our family history, so this is my outcome as well. So, for example, heart attack. My family's full of heart attacks, so I'm going to have a heart attack too. I don't have any choice in that. When in all actuality, we may have the potential for heart attacks based on certain variants, and then we have our choices that we make every day in our life, the food we eat, the exercise we get or don't get, the sleep, the stress, the toxin exposures. Everything that we do in our life is what impacts our epigenome, which is what regulates gene expression. So if we are mitigating negative gene expression due to the choices that we make every day, all we're doing is creating more health for the future.
Yes. Yeah. Beautifully explained. Thank you. In relation to fertility, how do you support men and women who are at that point of thinking they would like to plan a family, or those who are already trying to conceive, that maybe have found you a little bit later in their journey? How do you support those people on their fertility journey?
It does depend on where they are, so if I say catch them, right? If I catch them early on, before they're like, we're starting right now. So, what I can do is a lot more because, at that point, it's looking at lifestyle factors, doing all the things that we've talked about, but running the functional lab testing. Do we need to look at a GI panel to understand inflammatory markers and the microbiome and, potential pathogens and things like that? Do we need to look at neurotransmitters? Do we need to look at hormones? Obviously, that can play a key role. And we do a deep dive into hormones. And so it really depends on, if the person is struggling with something or the couple, right? Or if they truly just want to optimize, which still the functional lab testing, that's why it's called functional lab testing, because we're looking at how the body's functioning and how we can optimize it. When we're looking at, say we do your typical comprehensive metabolic panel, which is pretty small typically. You go to your conventional doctor and they do a small panel. It can give us some good information, but the ranges that we're looking at typically are different. They're going to be usually a little more narrow, which means more things are going to come up. So this is more of the optimal these are the optimal levels that we want to look at. When more things come up, we can put more pieces of the puzzle together. Doesn't mean that when these red flags, because that's what I call them, they're more like red flags when more of these come up versus when it's outside of your, typical lab ranges. We want to look at it more in a, is it truly pathogenic? Is there a problem? Do we need to, really look at this and understand it? If we're putting pieces of the puzzle together, we're taking these red flags and putting them together and putting all of the labs together, as well as the lifestyle, as well as the diet and the stress and the history and the family history. All of these things come together in order to essentially put together pretty, protocol that's going to help you to get where you want to be, ultimately a healthy conception, maybe on the first time. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? To be able to
Mm-hmm.
take away all that stress,
Mm-hmm.
pressure, financial burdens that people go through on their
Mm-hmm.
fertility journeys. So definitely worth investing in that early on rather than doing the let's wait and see and then
Mm-hmm.
having to sort of go back to those more basic things that could have sort of changed the trajectory of the treatments or the situation for those people. In
Mm-hmm.
relation to that journey, do you work with people all the way through their pregnancy, or do you tend just to work with people in that, initial stage or the first 3 months? What's sort of normal practice for you?
Yeah, I'll work with them through. The thing is, once pregnancy is certain, there's not a lot we can do. Sure, we can manage food. It's not like we can do, all of these different protocols, right? Which we don't want to do anyway. At that point, we're hoping for optimal health and then optimal health of the baby. So we'll do, certainly we'll do DHA and maybe some magnesium and some, some simple supplements. But, making sure you're moving, what's comfortable for you. Can you at minimum get out and walk? We got to move. No matter what, we have to move. Eating well, eating with baby in mind, but not eating for two, right? This is a whole myth that really is not a thing. So we want to be careful about that piece of it. But there are lots of, everybody has their different journey when you go through it. So yes, my goal is to support them in whatever capacity I can and what they're willing to do. And it's usually going to be pretty simple stuff. But yes, that was a long answer for yes.
And simple is good. I think sometimes we think that we need to, for something to work, it has to be difficult or it has to be overly complicated. And when we can bring it back to simple, I think
Hmm.
it makes it much more manageable for people and less overwhelming, because people are normally overwhelmed on that journey, even if they're at the beginning of it. It's, the excitement, the anticipation, the everything comes into that. So I think if we can keep it simple, then I'm all for simple.
Yeah, simple can be good. Sometimes the things that we have to do prior to that point is not so simple. When people are struggling, there's sometimes really difficult things we got to do to get them over that hump. But when we can get to simple, it is definitely ideal.
Mm. Have you got an example you're able to share with us without obviously breaking confidentiality, but of some people that you've helped that you have had some great results that had maybe been struggling for a while before they came to see you, and then you were able to support them and they've gone on to have a successful pregnancy?
Hmm. Yeah, there are obviously a few. One who stands out to me is she came to me struggling because she didn't understand what was going on, GI symptoms, and she's a dancer and she's this long and lean and beautiful thing and just really struggling. And so we start working and look at her labs, and anyway, ends up in that I don't diagnose. So she had ended up going to her doctor for these labs, but ended up with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid condition. So we worked through all of that. We got her antibodies back in line. She did really, really well. Her GI, her eyebrows started growing back. Her gut, junk all went away. She did really well, and it was work for sure. Then she decided she wanted to get pregnant. And so we worked together to move her through that process because, they want to put you on, meds for thyroid support, because of her history and all of these things. So we did a lot of things that were very specific, which I do anyway, but when it comes to her needs because of her Hashimoto and nutrients to support her for getting pregnant, it was probably the most intricate um, finagling of nutrients as far as supplement support, because we had to make sure that there are certain things that she was not getting because we didn't want to push the Hashimoto's, but then we wanted to make sure that she's getting all the other support that she needs in order to get all the micronutrients and macronutrients that she needed. So anyway, she now has 2 children. She is great and healthy and happy, and there was a really fun story. I don't know how many stories you want, but that was a good one. She's it's just fun to see, she's got 2 little, munchkins running around. It's really good.
And how beautiful and how satisfying for you to
Yeah.
know that the work that you're doing is so important.
Oh, thank you.
You know, the ripple effect of being able to support people to bring a beautiful baby, their child into the world. We can't measure that. We can't measure that joy. We can't measure the love, it's just,
Mhm.
it's incredible. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing to support people
Oh,
on their
thank
journey.
you. Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is. I mean, they're inspiring. Literally, my clients and those who have their health journeys inspire me every day.
Yes, I understand that. I concur with that. My clients just inspire me to be a better person. They really come to me with such vulnerability and trust, and
Mhm.
to see them move through their challenges and come out the other side, the best version of themselves, and to see themselves how I see them even
Yeah.
when they first come is
Mhm.
such a gift. I don't see this work as a job. I see it just
Mhm.
as a beautiful gift. And I love your enthusiasm. I can feel your passion for everything that you do. You're very engaging. So thank you for sharing your wisdom. How can people work with you if they've been listening and they want to connect? How can people find you, and how can they work with you?
So, I'm Taste Life Nutrition everywhere, essentially. So the website's Taste Life Nutrition. I do have an assessment you can fill out that comes straight to me, and I look at it. Kind of helps me understand, where you are, where things are, what's going on, where the things that might need to be worked on, and what we might be able to do, what I might be able to do to help, or if I know somebody who might be a better fit, with doing my show and then meeting people like you. And I have an interesting reach, so many great resources for people. It's something I'm really proud of, because i i I'm careful about who I refer people to. And I've got a good bit of really great people who are doing amazing things out in the world, so it's pretty awesome stuff. um, so yeah, all the socials, Taste Life Nutrition. You can just reach out to me. I'm here.
Excellent. So, Taste Life Nutrition, I will put all of the links in the show notes for everybody. And I think that's really important, just to emphasize that not everybody in this space will refer people, to other people.
Mm,
Sometimes people will just be like, oh, they've come to me, I'm going to work with them. So I love that you are open and honest about the fact that we are not always the right person for
mm,
people, or it might be that it's just not quite the right time. And
mhm,
so to be able to refer them to other people and complete another part of the jigsaw puzzle of health and wellness, and then maybe come back, or, I think that's really important that people understand that, because it shows that you show up with integrity, which is
mm.
really important.
Thank you. There's so many people who are struggling, and it doesn't seem to be getting better, right? So we
Mm,
all have a lot of I'm calling it work, but a lot of work to do, because there's a lot to do. And helping people who are struggling is, we can't compete. right? It's not fair to compete when we each have our, call it your superpower or whatever you want to call it. But then know what other people's superpowers are. I know where I'm not great. And so whether it's bringing, if I want to collaborate, I might collaborate with another practitioner on a client. That works well too. I will always promote, I think I said this a few minutes ago, but building your team. You got to have your team. So
Yes.
if I collaborate, if I just straight up refer out, I do that pretty frequently. It really just depends on the situation. But yes, for us who are in this world, to compete with each other just to me doesn't make a lot of sense. When we need to support each other, support each other's clients and patients, and and just get people doing what they need to be doing, feeling
Mm.
good and out there doing what they want to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And collaboration is so important.
Mhm.
I too don't understand that competition element of life. I think we're all just walking each other home. We're all going in the same direction. And if we can do
Yeah,
that with more ease and grace, then let's do that.
agreed.
Yeah.
100%. Mhm.
So, as we begin to sort of come to the end of this conversation, are there any other words of wisdom, anything that you would like to share with the audience?
Words of wisdom. Um, I think just I don't know your power.
Mm,
I see so often that, and it breaks my heart when people come to me often, and they've been through the ringer and they've been through the healthcare system and don't have answers, and they're really just struggling, and you can see that they feel like they don't have the power anymore. They've given it all away. You get a diagnosis. In my mind, you take on that identity and you're giving your power away.
mm,
When really, whatever situation you're in, if you know you have the power, you know you have the ability, the capability, the capacity, whether it's finding someone, whether it's doing the research, whether it's building your team, whatever it is, you have the power to make change, whatever that looks like for you, right? And it's growth. That's all it is for any of us, really, just growth. So just know your power. We have so much power in our everyday choices.
we certainly do, and I would just like to add to that for me, I felt very disempowered on my fertility journey. I
Hmm.
absolutely gave my body over to the health professionals, and I believed everything that I was told. And it wasn't until I took a step back from that and I realized that in reality, it was up to me to make those changes that I was then able to welcome two other beautiful babies into the world. And so I just really want to emphasize that nothing is impossible. And I have read and worked with and seen so many people that have turned around massive health issues. And, people that have been told that they weren't going to survive and have actually completely turned that situation around. And so if you're feeling, if the audience, if you're listening to this and you're feeling disempowered, if you're feeling like you are your diagnosis, just know that there is hope, and read things about other people that have had other health challenges and have overcome them, because it will give you that confidence to back yourself and to bring that empowerment back into your own health journey.
Please do. And here's the thing too, and a whole other soapbox I won't go too deep into, but you had said, people have turned around when they were told they had no hope. Never, ever, ever let anyone tell you you don't have hope. It crushes me
Mm,
when people are told how long they have to live, what they're
yeah.
going to live with, what they're not going to live with. I mean, it's not fair. It's not right. This happened to my mom. I've seen it happen over and over again. This is not fair. I mean, the what it does to us psychologically is more damaging than I think anything else. So, yeah, it just makes me crazy.
No, I absolutely hear you. And my mum went through her own health challenge
Mhm.
for a number of years. When she was diagnosed, she had stage 4 ovarian cancer. And one thing that she did do, because they sort of said to her when she was even diagnosed, we're surprised you weren't wheeled in, on a stretcher in an ambulance, with weeks to live. And she always said, do not tell me how long I have left to live. And she actually survived, almost 2 years, which was pretty incredible given where she was already at when she was first diagnosed. So I really do believe that her being very strong in that, and every appointment saying, I don't want to know, just tell me what I need to do, but I don't want to know any timescales, actually helped her to live an awful lot longer than anyone would have predicted.
What a blessing. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll stop there.
No, I get it. I get it. And, sadly, she did lose her life last year, but I'm just grateful for that extra time, that I had with her. And I know that so many people go on that journey with their loved ones. And again, I just think anything that we can do to support our own health and wellness, and for those that we love, is the biggest gift that we can give to people, because once our health is not there, we don't always get it back. But we can certainly be empowered in that journey and empower ourselves to do the best that we possibly can. And the rest is up to God, spirit, universe, whatever you resonate with.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
And I believe you have a gift that you would like to share with the audience.
Yeah, you know what I think? Because I have a couple of things, and I'm happy to do both if that's what you want. But as we're, kind of walking through this conversation and knowing it's a lot about preparing for pregnancy, I put together a list. I think it's 4 or 5 pages. I mean, it's not daunting, but it's a pretty big list of toxins that are in our environment, in our food, in our body care products, and these things that we can try to avoid, whether we're trying to get pregnant or not. These are things that are, they disrupt our endocrine system, our hormones. They throw our hormones out of whack. They throw all of the functions of our body out of whack if we become inundated with them, which can happen. And some of us have variants that don't allow us to detoxify these things properly anyway. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll do this a toxin avoidance list. I'll give that to you, and I have it on my link tree as well. So I'll send that to you. But it is there if anybody decides they wanna go grab it.
Thank you. That is very generous. And I know I will certainly be looking at that list. That is something that will be very helpful for me and for my family. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Thank you.
Nikki, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insight, and most importantly, your heart. As I mentioned earlier, I can really feel how passionate you are about this work and how committed you are to supporting other people. So thank you for everything that you are doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. And I will have to throw out there to look for you on my show, because I don't remember when it is, but I know it's coming up.
Yes, yes, it is. I think it's November.
Is it? Okay, good. Perfect.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. So we'll do it again and about you this
We,
time.
yes, we absolutely will. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you.